Good morning, everyone. This is Paula Newcomb, and I'm the Northeast Regional Coordinator from the Indiana State Library's Professional Development Office. Today, I am at the Allen County Public Library, and I'll be the host and question moderator for today's webinar, Tools and Trends in Genealogy. So welcome, everyone, and I'm very glad that you could join us today. I want to thank Curt for presenting today. He is the Genealogy Center Manager and Senior Manager of the Special Collections at the Allen County Public Library. Before we begin, I would just want to start off with a few housekeeping items and announcements. To register for other trainings available from the Professional Development Office, please check out the Indiana State Library's event calendar, which can be found at our website at www.in.gov/library. The Indiana State Library has many ways that we try to stay connected to library staff from across the state. For weekly updates on upcoming trainings and to learn more about what's happening in libraries across the state, please subscribe to our weekly e-newsletter, The Wednesday Word. Sound issues. If you have any sound issues during this webinar, please see the sound issues box just below the chat box on the left side of the screen. If there is a global sound issue, we will announce it in the chat box. If you are unable to resolve the sound issues that you're experiencing, please know that we are recording the webinar and you can watch it offline after the webinar is over. This webinar will also be available on our archive webinars page after it's been uploaded to YouTube and transcribed. So again, if there's a global sound issue, we will make an announcement in the chat box. LEUs. Your LEU will be available for download at the end of this webinar. We'll have that document available for you to download, so make sure you are signed on until the end of the presentation to get your LEU. This session is 1 hour, so you'll get 1 LEU. And questions. If you have a question, we're going to take questions at the end of the presentation. He's got a lot of information to get through, so just make sure you remember, write down your questions, and we'll get that at the end. So now I will turn the mic over to Curt, and we'll get his presentation ready.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to spend some time with you on what is a bright, sunny morning in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I hope it's bright in one way or another wherever you are tuning in from. It's really a pleasure to have some time to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's serving genealogists as library customers. I'm going to give you a heads up ahead of time. The title, Tools and Trends in Genealogy, we are going to talk about trends, and we're going to talk about some tools that may not necessarily be in our reference librarian or information professional toolkit. So bear with me. I'm really passionate about what I'm going to present, and I hope you can share that passion and have an understanding about why I'm pretty geeked about 21st century family history, family story, family heritage, and all the awesome opportunities that are available for us, even though in some corners it may not seem that way. So I'll go through some slides pretty quickly. Happy to answer any questions at the end and offline as well. So let's get started. If you get a little dizzy because the slides are going by too quickly, just hang on to whatever you're sitting on. We'll be okay. So let's move to what my colleagues, I think, have tired of me saying. I think these are the very best of times for family historians and genealogists and for the library professionals that serve them. And why do I think that? Well, number one, technology. As much as any other field, technology has really impacted how family historians do research, and it's brought more people to the table. It's brought millions more people to the table. And there may be some among us that say, Curt, I'm not sure that's a good idea, but I think at the end of the day, the incoming tide raises all ships. The more people we can have engaged in the field, I think the better for everyone. So it's technology, a big part of this being the best of times. Secondly, if you really think about why people do family history, why do people do genealogy? I believe it could be capsulated in their quest to find their story. And what's neat about family history is that everyone has a story. So it doesn't matter your ethnicity, your location, your education, your socioeconomic status. Everybody has a story, and story is really powerful. The latest edition of the NGS magazine, a good portion of the issue is devoted to story, and I was honored to be invited to write the lead article for that magazine about story. So if you have access to the NGS News magazine, take a look at that. It's really powerful, and it's again another reason why I think these are the best of times. Family health history is also a big driver. Science entices a lot of engagement. The possibilities of using DNA to advance our research to find lost family members. Oh my goodness. At the beginning of October, CC Moore was here in Fort Wayne. 187 people stayed plugged in all day to listen to her presentation. So there's a lot of engagement there. And lastly, best of times because family history engages those at risk at both ends of the age spectrum, if you will. So the very young, kids at risk, I think educators and sociologists are just now trying to play with why this is a fact, but you can get someone who's not paying attention, who has some learning challenges. If you just get them plugged into something about their family, their attention span goes up a little bit, they concentrate a little better. And oh my goodness, what's being written in the elder care literature about bringing forward long-term memories to help with short-term memory. It's pretty amazing, pretty overwhelming. So again, the best of times, and those of us who get to play in the genealogy space, and I call it playing in the space, oh my goodness, there's just so much that's positive about what's going on. But how can we serve genealogists as customers better? Best of times because, again, as I just mentioned, there's a lot of people doing family history. So marketing experts, I'm not, but I catch their literature every once in a while. I know it's a rather large span, but somewhere between 42 million and 83 million people do something family heritage, family history at least once a week. That's a lot of people. And do we see even a fraction of these people in our local history centers and our genealogy rooms? I don't think so, and I have to wonder why not. Technology is making a huge difference in our space, and we know that from all the devices that we use in other parts of our lives. Many individuals are using technology in so many different ways when they're thinking about family story, family heritage.
Just a second, we have a little problem with our display. It's not Curt's. Let's see if this works. There we go. We are set now. Thank you.
Okay, the gremlins are all marching in line now. So good deal. So just one more point about these are the best of times. Change hasn't changed. As archivists, as librarians, as information professionals, I think sometimes, and I hope I don't offend anyone, I hope I'm not painting with a broad brush, but sometimes we get real comfortable with something and we want to stick with it almost forever. But the only constant in life really is change, and things about technology, about what our customers' expectations are, those are going to change, and we should kind of embrace that change. So we're going to go through quickly. I don't think many of us do this. I hope it's not a brand new concept to any of you, but perhaps brand new when we're thinking about family historians and genealogists as customers. I like the concept of environmental scan, and doesn't it make us sound important when we say, hey, I'm going to do an environmental scan? But really all it means is to take a look around. I like to look at Fast Company, at Inc., at Bloomberg, just to see what's happening in the business space, in the technology space, in the education space, in the library space. And I think there are lessons for us. There are trends there and some tools that we can adapt to our librarian, archivist, information professional work in the genealogy space. So we're going to go through these pretty quickly. And I hope you don't tap out and say, this isn't for me, this isn't talking about genealogy resources. We'll get there, but I really think trends are so important for us as 21st century information professionals. So let's begin. So Fast Company, one of my favorite publications. Do I understand all the technology in there? No, but I love the snippets, I love the headlines. And so at the end of last year, they said there were 15 lessons that we should apply in 2017. Not even going to get close to covering all 15 of them, but I picked some of my favorites. So one of their big inspirations that we should take a look at in 2017, they told us, was inspiration needs execution. And I think that's a trend when it comes to serving genealogists. We can think about all kinds of neat and cool things, but we need to implement some of those. We need to take some bit of risk to try to serve our genealogy customers better using technology that's available to us today. So in March of this year, we decided, and I know some may push back on this as, wow, that's really not what we do, but we decided to use Facebook, and we put out a Facebook challenge. Send us your stumpers, we'll answer them. Whatever kind of question that you have, we'll answer. So we, in that week on Facebook, we answered 117 reference questions. It was neat because we were able to interact with our customers, and it was also neat to set up a communication channel where the expertise could be shared among customers. So we shared our expertise and customers shared their expertise, and we got 30 new likes on our Facebook page. Just one example of just take some idea that you believe is customer centric, that you believe will help you serve your customers better, and try it. I think that's one of the inspirations from Fast Company. A second one that they said is for most people today, particularly younger people in the 21st century, tomorrow is too slow. And I can relate to that. And I think many of us can. We spend a lot of time musing and thinking and pondering, and our customers tend to just want to do something. So the phrase that just popped up, ready, fire, aim, fire, I think is a trend, a posture we should adapt more in serving our customers, even in building our collections. And we'll talk more about that in the second half. But to be a little facetious, if you'll allow me to be just a little bit snarky here, in our field, I have noticed that we do a lot of ready, aim, 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 aim. Oh, darn, the target moved. Okay, ready? And we go through that aim, 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 and we never get to fire. What I like to tell a lot of my colleagues is it's so wonderful that we're not doing brain surgery. You know, no one's going to die from anything that we do or don't do. So let's, in a positive, customer-centric way, be a little more embracive of some risk. So I like what you see on your screen. Ready, fire, aim, fire. Got a good idea? Run with it. See how it works. See if maybe interacting with your patrons on social media might be a little better. Maybe your customers would embrace that. Ready, fire, aim, fire. So fire didn't quite work out the way you thought it would. Do that term, fail forward. Learn from your lessons and then just aim again and fire. Tomorrow really for most of our customers is too slow. Having them do very staid methodological things is really not very engaging. The next two slides, millennials are making waves. Oh my goodness, the millennials have really embraced technology. I have 4 sons. All of them live on their mobile devices. My oldest son loves poking at his dad about, you know, Dad, if it's not on my mobile device, it doesn't exist to me. Well, that's a lot of our customers. So what are we going to do about that? I think we need to embrace more technology. So millennials are making waves. They are making waves that are large information aggregators, Family Search, Ancestry, MyHeritage. All of those information aggregators are paying a lot of attention to millennials. I think that begs us as archivists, librarians, historians, information providers to also pay attention. So if this is what Fast Company says, millennials are making waves, this is what Curt says, and boomers are riding those waves. We should, again, in the context of an environmental scan, baby boomers, the largest segment of retiring individuals in our company's history. More than 10,000 a day are retiring. What do we know about boomers really quickly? We know that they are retiring with the largest amount of discretionary capital ever. Secondly, they want to do something history, heritage related. They want to give something to their grandchildren and their grandchildren's grandchildren, not gold and silver. So they want to leave a part of themselves. So they're really motivated to do family heritage, family history. And third, really important for us as information professionals and librarians, They are coming out of very tech-savvy work environments. So these aren't necessarily potential volunteers as we have historically thought of them. People that we need to teach databases to, people that don't do word processing, people that move a mouse with both hands. You know, those things that sometimes we do with our customers. Those are not the boomers. So we're presented, if we take a look at an environmental scan, we're presented with an awesome group of people that can be our new customers. I like what Fast Company said, and this is the last one I'll share with you. Values are still valued. Why did I pick that slide? Values are still valued means that we'll hear a lot, and you may have heard it a lot already, like, oh, you need to be careful with all that online information. You know, there's a lot of crap out there. People just make stuff up. You know, you got to be careful, be careful, be careful. I'm not sure that's the message that we should be giving to our colleagues. I'm not sure that's a message we should be giving to our customers. These are awesome times. Yeah, there's a lot of crap on the internet, family history-wise, genealogy-wise, but there are amazing silos of good stuff. Think about it. Our customers, who wants to find a story that's not theirs? Who wants to research a family that really isn't their family? At the end of the day, people want to find their family story. They want to find their documents. So there's still a high value placed on good information. A lot of people complain persistently about all the bad stuff that are in personal family trees on Ancestry, and they complain about the shaky leaf, and they complain that it isn't good, solid research. We can get there from here. We can help our customers find that, because values are still valued. People want to find, pardon the use of the technical term, people want to find good stuff. They want to really engage in finding their story. And I think we need to help them do that. I'm going to go through the next couple slides really quickly. Our friends at Ancestry. This came from a November 2014 first chapter of a report they never completed. So this is the first and only chapter that you'll be seeing in the next couple slides. But our friends at Ancestry have just about 21 billion records online. Oh my goodness. Our customers and we as information professionals have 21 billion records to help them find their story. To use a bad English phrase, which I love dearly because it is a rotten English phrase, it's a double negative, which you're never supposed to use. How can we not use this? How can we not use the great materials that are on Ancestry, even if there are millions of records that are not documented? Out of the 21 billion, I still think it's a pretty small fraction. So let's take a quick look at this Ancestry Global Family History Report. Again, it's 3 years old, but oh my goodness, the lessons that I think are being shown to us, the trends that we should see in developing our tools. The next couple slides are going to be really word heavy. I apologize, I've broken all the rules of PowerPoint. You know, only supposed to have what, 5, 7, maybe 9 words on a slide. I have like 20 per slide, but I've highlighted in blue so we can take a quick look at the important things. So they did a really in-depth, fairly costly survey of the worldwide genealogical community, and these are some of the things that they report out. And this is in 2014. Individuals contributed more than 60 million family trees. And one of the predominant things they saw about people's use of these family trees was connecting to the present, not just the past. And sometimes we forget that people, customers come into our facilities. Yeah, they're interested in the past, but maybe they're also interested in connecting with family here currently, connecting with living individuals. Of those who conducted genealogical research, almost half found living relatives they didn't know about, and a significant number of them sought to meet those people face to face. That should tell us something as information professionals about why people are engaging, what they're doing with story. They found that the strength of feeling that family history matters is a global phenomenon. That's United States, Canada, England, Ireland, Germany, France, Africa, Mesoamerica. Global phenomenon that family history matters. That tells us something. Further on in the report, they had a section called Benefits of Family History for Individuals and Families, and they did a lot of percentages. So the majority, I'm going to pause here, the majority, and see the 79% in parens, the majority of amateur historians across different countries simply enjoy the research. So they're not looking to join the DAR to get a medal, to win some kind of an award. They simply enjoy their research. We'll come back to that. I think that's really consequential. Personal growth. 67% feel that knowing their family history has made them wiser persons, helped them understand who they are. 77%. Strengthening ties within and beyond family. 72% said it helped them be closer to older relatives. 50% said it helped them get closer to younger relatives. And that percentage grows the older the person gets. Wow, I think these are consequential trends. 2/3 of the people in their entire survey felt the past is important to understanding who they are today. All kinds of social and personal implications to that. This is a pretty powerful slide to me when I'm thinking about what the future of family history looks like and what our library should be doing to address the needs of our family history, our genealogy customers. Interest in family history doubled from 2008 to 2014 and is forecast to double again by 2025. There are hundreds of millions of people then in the United States by 2025 that will be interested in pursuing family history. Wow, that kind of puts us as research centers, as libraries, kind of in the middle of something pretty amazing. So what does all of this mean? I have a video that I'm not sure will play, but we're going to try to play just this really short video. It might make your mind explode a little bit, or it might turn some of you green in the gills. I hope not, but it's just about a minute and 30 seconds.
You know what? I think we better send you guys that link later.
Okay.
Let me get back to the sharing. Okay, I think you're back on there now. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just quickly capsulate it. I know many of you probably saw it. It ran on network TV and then on some cable channels, but it was a commercial from MyHeritage, and I know that a lot of people in our profession thought, I don't like this I discovered commercial because it sets our customers up for failure, or it makes people have unrealistic expectations. But essentially they set an iPad in Metro Station in Central Park, and people walked up and they just punched in their name, and poof, there came their family history from themselves all the way back to early times. And I know many of us would say, see, just setting people up with unrealistic expectations. I've challenged my colleagues here in Fort Wayne, and I think if we think about it, we know that this can be done. With the records that are available to us and all of the intellectual firepower that we have from our years and years of experience, we can. A customer that walks in today, let's say at 1 o'clock this afternoon in all of our locations, and says, hey, you know, I've been watching PBS and Skip Gates and that whole family history thing. I want to do my family history. We can sit down with them, ask them a few questions, and begin searching. And if they know anything at all about their family, we can find something for them. I had that occasion working the floor last Sunday when someone walked up, a mother, her young child, and her granddaughter. And in 23 minutes, they didn't come in with any names, any group sheets, no genealogical program. They just heard about us. These are amazing times. And so wanted to show you that commercial because it makes us all smile, because everyone thinks that doing genealogy, doing family history is easy. Well, it may not be easy, but it's very doable for everyone. And that's sort of the message that I wanted to get across. So the next slide says, and still they come, because after watching that commercial, you'd say, wow, these people are kind of have an unrealistic expectation of what they can find with no information. But there are millions of people coming to the genealogy space new every day. My question They're coming to the field, but perhaps not to us, perhaps not to libraries. My question is, do we care? Should we care? And if we do care, what are we going to do about it? Again, I'm really excited about the times that we live in. I think we have more opportunity than ever, but we really have to put ourselves out there and really make our collections more accessible and be willing to engage. Because again, as it says on the slide, there are people coming to the field. Whether we decide that we want to play in that field or not, that's totally up to our organizations and to us as information professionals. But oh my goodness, tens of millions of people, they are coming to the field, but perhaps not to us. What can we do about that? Over the years, a lot of people have heard good experiences about our library, and I'm sure about many of your libraries. And if you think about it, when someone says they've been to the Plainfield Public Library and they had an awesome experience in their genealogy room, if you think about it, so what makes an awesome experience? Well, I'm going to offer to you my hypothesis on that. So I believe it is literally all about the experience. Today, we could have a computer, no books, and an internet connection, and we could do very well serving any kind of genealogist that walks in the door. I'm not advocating for that kind of a collection necessarily. I'm just saying we have the ability, no matter what library we're in, no matter what budget, we have the ability to make an awesome experience for our customers. And I kind of think that that's where we should be looking, musing, and planning here in the 21st century. So it's all about the experience. What does Curt mean by that? I know it sounds really pedestrian. I know it sounds almost antithetical to doing research, but there are two things that are really key in creating a good experience. The first thing is having an element of fun or enjoyment. In the 21st century, and I say this a lot, my colleagues just smile and say, oh, there Curt goes again. In the 21st century, no one, I repeat, no one is going to walk a half a block out of their way to have a miserable time. BC, before computers, we kind of had a market on the family history genealogy thing. If you wanted to do any meaningful family history, you had to go somewhere. Go to the cemetery, go to the church, go to the county courthouse, go to the library. We could kind of control, whether someone had fun, enjoyed themselves, really didn't matter because we had the stuff that they needed. Now, we're not necessary. It would be nice if people came and enjoyed our expertise, but people can do an awful lot without us. We need to craft an experience that's engaging for our customers and our potential customers. And thing number one about that is fun and enjoyment, as pedestrian as that sounds. And thing number two that's really critical, we need to make sure our customers have some form of success every time they come to the library. Even if they don't find the document, the ancestor, the family story they're looking for, they need to leave feeling like we have assisted them in wading through many search results and wading through the janky results we might get from an ancestry search and wading through ProQuest databases and newspaper archive. So if you don't remember much of anything from today, and I hope you do remember a lot, fun, enjoyment, and success, really key trends that we should pay attention to when we're serving our genealogists as customers. I can't, even though it sounds pedestrian, I can't overemphasize how important that is. So let's take a look quickly at some ways we can do that. So I'm looking at buildings, bodies, and bytes. So the first couple slides are going to be about buildings. Whenever we have an opportunity to recraft the local history space, the genealogy space, I think we need to go toward more flexible space. We want our customers to be comfortable in the spaces that we have for genealogy, for family history. Our buildings must be comfortable spaces for all kinds of individuals to engage in all kinds of ways. Some may push back on this, but libraries that are successful are not shush libraries. They create spaces where people can collaborate with each other, and family history is a very collaborative type of activity. So we want people to be able to engage with us and with our stuff. Whether our stuff is books, microtext, online databases, other colleagues. We want space where family historians can engage with each other. There's nothing more exciting than people in a family kind of doing a group project. And sometimes that gets a little noisier than what we historically have been comfortable with. But our buildings must create spaces like that. And our buildings must have ways that people can connect with the world. Again, I know that's very simplistic, but when we take a look at our own research centers, our own local history rooms, Indiana rooms, genealogy centers, how adaptable, how comfortable are our buildings? Our buildings have to be adaptable and wired for the latest and best smart devices and the best connectivity. People expect that. It may be the same in your library. Certainly we see in our library the use of library PCs is kind of dropping at a pretty amazing rate, and the bandwidth consumed on our Wi-Fi is going up in an amazing rate as well. People want to walk in, plug in, recharge, connect on everything. And I think our buildings need to support that. Our buildings must look like what our customers like. And this is kind of a tough one for us as a profession, I believe. Again, buildings must look like what our customers like. Not what we're used to, not what we grew up with, not what we like, but what our customers like. And we ought to put some effort into finding out just what is that our customers like. So the picture there, that's from the 1950s. And you say, oh, well, isn't that cute? We don't do libraries like that anymore. Well, yeah, we kind of do. We build this nice reference fort, this reference altar, which consciously and subconsciously is a big barrier to our customers. They don't want to interrupt the important work we're doing. We put a huge fort between us and our customers, and it sends, I think, all kinds of wrong messages. So this is from 1950. This is a new library south of the Mason-Dixon line, but it could be anywhere in the country early in the 21st century. We're doing the exact same thing. For full transparency, we did a great remodel here at the Allen County Public Library and opened up in 2007. We did the same thing. Build the reference altar, build the reference fort. So here is an ALA award-winning library. Notice these cool seats here. Notice this wonderful color at the back of the room. ALA award-winning building. What did they do? They built a reference fort, a reference altar. This is an award-winning library of less than 5 years ago. So we're still building reference forts and reference altars. And this is a fairly new library in the Houston Public Library System, a branch, one of their bigger branch, another fort, another barrier to service. This, I believe, and I fairly strongly believe, this is how our customers want to interact with us and with each other. They want more collaborative space. They want more engaging space. They want more inviting space. So wherever we can, we should craft our spaces to be flexible so we can adapt to technology, but places that encourage collaboration. Because what are we after? We're after fun and success. We want customers to approach us. When we're sitting in a reference altar, a reference fort, they don't feel comfortable doing that. And we've run all kinds of surveys with our customers that evidence that in many, many different ways. And I can't believe that your customers aren't at least a little like our customers. I think slowly you'll be finding libraries where people are encouraged to get out from behind the desk, to interact kind of shoulder to shoulder with customers. And I think we'll be seeing places where the reference area may look more like a lounge, more like a conversation area. And you might think, oh, that Witcher, he's gone off the deep end. Just something for you to consider, because what are we about? We're about trying to help our customers have a good time and be successful. And I think how we craft our reference spaces says a lot about that. So we've kind of moving from trends and from looking at what society is doing and how that impacts us to how we can help our customers find all the data. So did a little bit about buildings. I want to talk about books, and then we'll move on to bodies and bytes. So about books, these are such amazing times. I don't know whether you know it all or not. Next slide coming up will evidence this on your screens, but every one of you has a local history genealogy collection of at least 350,000 volumes. Every one of you have a collection of 350,000 volumes. Isn't that awesome? You're now just all among the largest genealogical repositories in the Milky Way galaxy, and you didn't even know it. So one of the things when we're talking about books and collections, we got to think locally and link globally. We have a lot of local history content I fear that we don't pay enough attention to, and we're always trying, I believe, to posture ourselves against the outlier customer who comes into maybe Richmond, Indiana wants to do some Louisiana research. So what public library in the Richmond area has a great, robust Louisiana research collection? Well, physically, none of them. Virtually, all of us do. And to me, it's exciting to think about. Critical question: how are our customers being served today and tomorrow? So if we think more globally about how we can link customers to information, what I just alluded to, Family Search has over 350,000 volumes, searchable, readable online, downloadable for free. They're all ours. They're our books. If you wanted to, not recommending this at all, you could download all of them and put them on your server. You could download them and print them out and pay the money to bind them and put them on your shelves if you built another wing. I'm being facetious there. But we all have 350,000 books. By the end of this decade, that will be well in excess of 500,000 free online searchable, downloadable books. Wow, that's awesome. Family Search and OCLC announced a collaboration to put all of their bibliographic records in WorldCat, so they'll be becoming increasingly discoverable. Family Search is collaborating with DPLA. Do we see a pattern here? Collaboration to provide access to amazing content. So we should continually weigh physical versus virtual when we're talking about our collections. Want to just spend a couple seconds talking about us? I call it our bodies. There's Mr. Curmudgeon. I know none of us intend to look that way, but sometimes if you can cozy up to your security department or whoever has the security film in your institution and just see how you look to your customer. Sometimes we have an internal view of how we looked, and when we see, oh my gosh, I was 93 minutes on the desk and I didn't smile once, or yeah, it took me like 20 seconds to look up when a customer was standing in front of me. How we, with our language and with our body language, our verbiage and our body language, I think it says a lot about whether we're going to welcome customers, make them feel like they're going to have success and enjoy us. And I think in 21st century genealogy, family history reference provision, we have to pay attention to being present for our customers. So we'll move from Mr. Curmudgeon to Marion the librarian. This again is from the 1950s. This is again BC, before computers, so she has her nice box of little library catalog cards there that she's making notes on. And again, she's at a table, but she's built a little book fortress around her because, we got to do that important stuff. Well, nothing's more important than our customers. So in the early days of computers, don't you love that computer screen? Don't you wish you had a big fat monitor like that? We still did the same thing. Cluttered our reference areas with all kinds of important work to make our customers feel like maybe they weren't quite as important to us as they should have been. This is what our customers want. They want us to be willing to come out of our offices, to come out from behind the reference desk, to sit with them at a table, to bring up a laptop and show them, how do I research on Ancestry? How do I use WorldCat? What is this periodical source index? Family Search, what are they? I heard they're LDS and they're trying to baptize my ancestors. I mean, we can do great work just debunking things that are not true and showing people best practices in searches and in information gathering. There's some wonderful opportunities if we get out from behind our reference altars. I like to tell people that who lament to me, and believe it or not, I still have some colleagues from around the country that lament to me about the good old days of doing family history. I kind of miss the good old days. And I'm thinking to myself, my mind's about ready to explode. And I'm thinking, so what are you really saying? Because I can't remember a whole lot of good about the good old days. When I started in the field, again, BC, before computers, I grew tired at about the 200th time every 8-hour shift of explaining the sound decks, or of getting an arm workout, trying to roll microfilm for yards and yards and miles to find one record. So I don't miss the good old days, because finally, instead of being information pointers, well, here's how you use the sound decks, and here's how you find the film, and here's how you use the microfilm reader. Now we can do the jobs that we were trained for. We were trained to be family history librarians, genealogy specialists, local history experts. We can finally do that. So sorry, I won't be jumping on the bandwagon of missing yesteryear. A lot of good things happened then, but we have so many wonderful things happening today. Are we willing to accept the challenges of really helping people be good researchers rather than pointing them to things that were very mechanical? Other challenges that we face, taking our time. More so than ever, since we don't have to explain the practical things, why not take some time to actually help a customer? I know some reference departments, some directors of libraries are still a little bit biased toward the genealogist as a patron, and they suggest, sometimes demand, that reference staff only spend 3 minutes and then move them on, or only spend 5 minutes. Move them on to where? Move them on why? Genealogists, there are so many of them in our own communities that are interested in being good researchers, wanting to find their family story. Take the time to be the consultant. Spending a half hour with someone, I know that sounds like heresy to some, but spending a half hour to really make them comfortable with ancestry, to really make sure they find something on their research trip here. Oh my gosh, they're your friend forever. So the next time a millage comes up, the next time you need volunteers at your friend's bake sale, these are going to be your peeps, the ones that you spend some time with, helping them find something that was important to them. We do face a challenge on where we set the bar. I think we need to set the bar pretty high, that everyone has a successful and enjoyable experience. And let's not retreat to our reference altars and reference forts. A lot of individuals, I fear, operate under the assumption that, well, if a customer really, if someone in the department really wants us, they'll approach the desk. Well, do you really want to set the bar there? So I love this picture of the Library of Congress because it can't symbolize anymore that whole fort mentality. So the reference desk is in the middle here, and all of these are like research tables. To me, it looks like a moat. And here's the drawbridge. And if you have the secret password, or if you're important enough, you can come past the drawbridge and ask your question at the reference altar. Love the Library of Congress. They have a wonderfully architecturally beautiful building. That's not customer centric, and that's not how we should be operating. We should be open and welcoming, and we should be out on the floor working with our customers. Our bodies. We must build, I believe, knowledgeable customer-centric teams. If I had my choice, and I'm glad I don't have to make this choice often, I would much rather have someone who is customer-centric than someone who knew everything there was to know about Indiana history, or Indiana family history, or genealogy. We need people that are customer-centric. We have to highly value one-on-one consultation opportunities, and we must be where our customers are. And many times that means getting out from behind the reference desk, from behind the reference fort, and going over to a customer and say, when you came in this morning, you were asking about ancestry. Were you successful in finding what you were looking for? Can I help you find something else? You'd be surprised at all the questions they have that they don't want to ask for whatever reason at our reference desks. I think that's important because there's nothing more important than the customer. And I really believe this. There's nothing that we can't answer. There really isn't. And here's why. Our bites. Digitizing is a great marketing activity, and it's a great collaboration igniter, and libraries all over the country, archives all over the country are doing that. Digitizing allows us to collect entities that we had to turn away previously. Deploying technology can really increase our resource pools and increase our ability to help customers. As a profession, we're very proud of our vertical files. I'm kind of a curmudgeon when it comes to vertical files. Not a big fan. So what we have done in 3 different areas, a lot of Fort Wayne history we had in our vertical file. We actually organized it, bound it, and cataloged it. And you can see that in the top right. We have this huge bibliographic record, but with Control F, we've been amazingly successful in helping find which chapter, which section of 300 volumes you may want to find. We're also collaborating with the online Foundation for Online Genealogy for the world's largest genealogy wiki. So we've taken a lot of our vertical file and just scanned it, nothing that's copyrighted, scanned it, put it online. Our entire Lincoln collection, the entire vertical file is online. So I just offer that as a suggestion to those of us who are wanting to make our collections more available to our customers. Vertical files that physically live somewhere, yeah, we can feel really nice about them, the 2 or 3 folders a day, week, month, year that are gotten out. But do customers really have access to our vertical files? Oh my goodness, our friends at Family Search. To use again a poor phrase, we can't not use them. We really have to engage our friends at Family Search. If you go to familysearch.org and click on search, you'll find those 6 opportunities that are in the red square there. I just want to take a quick look at 2 of those, books and their research wiki. I've alluded to this a couple times. It says 325,000, but that's a little inaccurate. It's over 350,000 family histories are available to all of us. These are the contributing libraries that you see on the screen. So our library, Family History Library, a number of libraries throughout the country. Amazing, and we're continuing to add hundreds of books a month. I call the Family Search Wiki our reference colleague. I truly believe that there is not a single question that we can't answer because of the Family Search Wiki. 86,000 vetted, well-researched articles. How many of us can have a great Louisiana collection here in Indiana, but a customer can walk into Jasper, Indiana, my hometown, can walk into Fort Wayne, can walk into West Lafayette Public Library, and we, with our knowledge of what's available on the web, we can give awesome reference service for Louisiana because there are hundreds of links for every single state. I should say thousands of links to online data, and they have presented some of the best genealogical research via links that they have in their wiki. I can't say enough about how important this is. If you had a computer and an internet connection, you could do awesome family history research. You could do a great job helping people find their stories. Virginia and their wiki. Internet Archive is another major source. We have over 90,000 items from this library on Internet Archive. There are millions of histories, local histories, and genealogies, directories on Internet Archive, free to read, to download. What I like about the Internet Archive is its searchability and the fact that people can download them in all those different formats you see kind of highlighted in the orange square there. So amazing collection of materials. We Relate, not many people know about that. Our bad for not marketing as well as we should. But it's putting vertical file material online. It's the largest genealogy wiki, so people have put Cherokee Heritage Project material, family records, etc. online. It's a pretty amazing place. People have crowdsourced photographs online. So this mid-20th century St. Patrick's Safety Patrol photograph was put online. Within a few days, people identified all but one person in that photograph. Pretty amazing. And that photograph doesn't exist in a paper file somewhere. It exists online where people can search for it, search by name, search by school name, and find the photograph. Want to walk us quickly through what I call the information retention hierarchy. We're approaching the end, so you've done great hanging on. The top layer here, we're going to take a quick look at this published material layer. So again, we can help our customers just by knowing where information tends to be housed and archived. So at the local level, the public library in all 50 states is a great place to send your customers. The Garrett Public Library, small but powerful library just 30 minutes north of Fort Wayne, but they have a number of cool, really meaningful local files that are unique to them, including their obituary file where they have a collaboration with the local paper to actually link the obituaries. There are all kinds of unique data sets that libraries all over the country have. So small public libraries everywhere could help your customers. Send them to those libraries virtually. We know the power of state library collections and national libraries. Well, the Library of Congress, we can go to their website and kind of noodle around there. But there are other major libraries. At the risk of sounding immodest, I would offer the Genealogy Center as a major library. We have north of 1.2 million physical items and amazing numbers of database and a website where your customers can hop into our free databases, hop into our catalog, find neat things like our military heritage, our African American Gateway. It was rated nationally in the top 80 websites for African Americans in the entire country. Many public libraries have these, and we can go through and look at the websites of major public libraries that we're familiar with in other cities and find great resources for our customers. We can help them identify these resources. One final look at this information grid. We can go down to the center level where it says official governmental records, local archives, state archives, national archives. We can help our customers find records in those, and unpublished materials, local historical societies, state historical societies, and what I call special focus organizations like railroad heritage societies, like lineage societies. So this information grid, if you will, if we remember that, we can transfer that knowledge to our customers. There's some amazing things that we can find. Quickly then, some extraordinary extras that we should remember in serving our customers. The US Gen Web, yes, it has lots of warts and wrinkles, but there's an amazing amount of information, indexing, abstracting, transcribing, and digitizing. Consistency can be a problem. We're information professionals. We can help our customers navigate that. People have been familiar with, have known about Cindy's List for a long time. It's a nice alphabetic kind of subject organized collection of genealogy websites. If you and your customers like this 500,000 links on Cindy's List, send them to Linkpendium, where there's only 10 to 11 million links. So from 500,000 on Cindy's List up to 10, 11, 12 million on Linkpendium. I like the way Linkpendium is set up. You pick your state. How many of us, again, in Indiana have awesome North Dakota collections? But if we have a customer who comes in who wants to find North Dakota information, oh my goodness, Linkpendium is a great way to link to county-specific resources, both free and fee, and we can help our customers navigate that. Digital Public Library of America, I'm sure you've all heard about it. Our customers are a little nervous about it. They don't know what it means. They don't know how to use it. They're up to over 18 million items discoverable through DPLA. It's another awesome resource where our family history genealogy customers can find an amazing amount of material. So just to recap here, kind of putting the pieces together. We as information professionals can recall how historical data is archived and help our customers with that information grid. Focus heavily on the reference interview and on conversation. Listen and consult and really help your customers. When it comes to building virtual collections or your physical collections, I like the approach of collecting near or local and linking widely. There's nothing we can't answer. I just find that really exciting. There's absolutely nothing we can't answer. I challenge all of us to have that as sort of our reference mantra. Instruction is good. Back in the day, it was like, well, librarians shouldn't spend a whole lot of time instructing people how to do research. They should be doing the research for them. Kind of hard to do in the genealogy space, but our customers love to be informed. They love for us to help them be better storytellers, help them be better story discoverers. Collect local, index, digitize items of special interest, and then link to data that's regional and national. Something for everyone. I think any customer that walks into our collections, into our facilities, every single customer can get top shelf service with the collective expertise that we have and what's available out there virtually. I really think these are the best of times. So I appreciate you hanging in there with me. I could go on for hours, but I know we're stuck to a 60-minute format here. I think we have a few minutes for questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Curt, and also for all of you for being with us here today. Go ahead and add your questions to the chat box. We've got about maybe 5 minutes, and we'll see what we get. We've got one person saying to Curt, wonderful presentation, thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate that. It's always better than, what in the world were you talking about?
We've got multiple people typing, so we'll see if there's any questions in there, or there might be a bunch of thank yous. And pretty soon we will share the screen that has the LEU form. So if you want to, stay on and get that. And also, we do now have a question. Sarah asks, do finding aids and instructional guides still have a place in the modern research room?
Absolutely. Great question. Sometimes it's a matter of balancing resources within your institution. I wish I had more training in psychology, but there is something, great question, there is something about our customers. They like to walk away with a piece of paper in their hand. If we can craft what kind of information is on that piece of paper. Our community engagement department has some nice little sheets that have social media, have our Facebook page, have our website on it, and there's blank space for us to write. Maybe familysearch.org or maybe some other website. But absolutely, if there are finding aids, pathfinders, we have what we call snapshots by each state here in the Genealogy Center. We print hundreds of those every week because people walk away with the Kentucky sheet and the West Virginia sheet because they want to go home and they want to try some of the online sources. And they want to make sure that they look at some of the books we have listed on there the next time they physically come to our facility. So absolutely. I would just encourage as many people as possible to post those online so that you can point to them for customers that email you or customers that might tag you on Facebook so that it's easy for you to let them have access to that.
Okay, any other questions? Maybe a couple more? Nancy says, good presentation and got a few